Hello and welcome back to another Bear Essential review with me, BearElliott. I'm a sucker for a disaster movie. I love them. From Independence Day to, let's even say, Jurassic Park. There's definitely schadenfreude involved when you go to watch something that's going to just show the destruction of the world. Kind of like Deep Impact. You don't really go there for the outstanding acting ability of the actors, but instead the disaster of it all. Well, let's talk about the latest disaster, San Andreas, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, went and saw this on Friday with the boyfriend, because he's actually from San Francisco, where the majority of this movie takes place. So we made a deal that he wanted to go see this really, really bad, so okay, I'm going to wait to go see this with him. Now, this is the thing about San Andreas. It's so bad that it's so good. It was amazing. And just the fact that it was so bad. And the disaster portions of the film were very cool. It was awesome. But it's the storyline that gets in the way of the disaster. So here's the basic storyline. Kinda. So we have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who plays a disaster rescue firefighter-esque kind of guy. So he works for, I think it's Los Angeles. They're the fire department. And he is the pilot of the helicopter. It starts out the movie with a disaster, kinda, where this chick is driving along and she's on these windy roads and she's like looking behind her, trying to get her bottle of water, and you're like, okay, any minute this woman's going to have a horrible thing happen to her. Like, it's just going to reinforce that you shouldn't be texting while driving. You should be watching the road, but that's not the case. Basically, there's an avalanche. She ends up off the road, and they rescue her. So, I guess spoiler alert if you haven't really. I mean, really, it's been out for a couple weeks now. So, screw spoilers. This is basically the whole entire plot of the story. We then get introduced to Dwayne "The Rock." I don't even remember what the guy... I think his name was Frank. I think. I kind of remember. Frank, we're just going to call him Frank. Or Rock. The Rock. The Rock and his wife were having marital difficulty, and they're going through a divorce. She's moved on, and she's now shacking up with Mr. Fantastic. Yeah. I don't remember his name either. I just remember he was a jerk, and he was Mr. Fantastic from the horrible Fantastic Four movies. So she's shacking up with him, and they have a daughter. Well, the daughter... Blake? I think it's Blake. Blake is part of two daughters that they've had. They've already lost one. That's a storyline that plays off into the little thing. So Blake is going to start college in San Francisco. So she originally was going to bum a ride with her dad, but there's an earthquake in Las Vegas, which that was really cool. The taking out of the Hoover Dam was really cool. I've visited a lot to Hoover Dam over the time, because me and my ex would every year go to Las Vegas for like a Christmas trip, and we'd always end up at Hoover Dam. Why? I don't know. We ended up there. We liked the road trip. So it was kind of neat to see that in the whole aspect. That takes us into the subplot that's going on. So there's the doctor, or the scientist guy, who keeps popping up throughout this entire movie. They could have just introduced him and then just cut his character, but no, we have to keep going back to the scientist. He's like, we're going to have more disasters. What can we do? Pray. It's these one-liners in this movie that just kill me. It's hysterical because they're so trite and they're just so, like, in your face. It's hysterical. So there's this huge earthquake that takes out the Hoover Dam, and that's when the scientist decides, oh, we can predict earthquakes. And, oh no, this is going to affect the San Andreas Fault, which basically the San Andreas Fault runs all the way up California. So they predict that someday it's going to take out all of California. So soon there'll be more beachfront property. But by California, you're going to be kind of cut in half. Yeah. And then the tsunami happens, which that happens later in the movie. All right. So getting back to Dwayne "The Rock." So he's going to take his daughter to San Francisco. And he can't because he has to take the helicopter and his crew to go and rescue those people in Las Vegas. Well, while he's flying his helicopter by himself, there's no other person, no crew member on this helicopter. He's flying to maintenance by himself. I think that's against some kind of protocol. Just a little. He's flying it, and that's when the big earthquake takes place. And his wife calls him, or he calls his wife to tell him, he's like, I'm sorry I was such a jerk, because now the boyfriend that she's shacking up with has to take Blake on his private jet to San Francisco, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's kind of sideline stuff. Well, during that, that's when the earthquake happens, and he goes, get to higher ground. I'll come save you, honey. Now here, why in the world did, like, I don't know, his boss wonder why the helicopter just takes off by itself? He basically steals it to go rescue her, and then he's like, let's go get our daughter. After they rescue each other. After he rescues her, she doesn't really rescue him. And so, yeah, but then it's this whole thing of constant, okay, then the helicopter crashes, and then they have to parachute out of the airplane, and then they have to do this. It's just one disaster after another. It's hysterical, and just the acting of it. There's this part where The Rock has to cry, and you can tell the point where the production assistant had to come in and drop the Visine into The Rock's eye to create the tear that rolls down. Yeah, it's really bad. But it's so bad, it's so good. And there's one part in this movie that I swear I'm just waiting for a shark to appear. I'm like, okay, come on. There has to be a shark at this point. There has to be a shark. Because the building is filling up with water from the Pacific. We all know that in San Francisco, there's all these great white sharks in the bay. Why is there not a great white shark that's attacking them at this moment? That would take this movie to like a whole nother level of disaster movie. So, overall, for my Bear Essential review, and at the end. The end. Okay. I just have to say this because the last word you hear is so over the top. They go, what do we do now? And Dwayne, they zoom in on a tight of his face. We rebuild. Really? Come on. Yeah. And they show a shot of San Francisco. It's all underwater. Unless you're Aquaman, I don't think it's going to work. So maybe this guy behind me can help. Who knows? So overall, for my Bear Essential review, I'm giving this 3 paws. It's not great. It's not good. It's really bad, but it's so bad that it makes it good. So it's a 3. 3 paws. So until next time, bye, Cublets!
I could go out in the darkness, see you calling my name. I hear you shouting, hear you calling, but it's not the same. Every word that you are throwing right into my back doesn't matter to me, cause I'm keeping my track. Let me go. Let me go.